In the plush first-class cabin, the atmosphere went still as a flight attendant blocked Ava Turner's path. "Ma'am, I believe there's been an error. This area is reserved solely for first-class travelers," she said. Her words struck Ava like sharp arrows, as her valid ticket was suddenly questioned. No one expected that in just a few moments, Liam Johnson, a billionaire, devoted husband to Ava and the primary owner of this very airline, would step in and completely shift the balance in a room filled with snap judgments. Ava fidgeted with the watch on her wrist, a gift from Liam that reminded her of the day they first met at 35. Her modest yet stylish dress stood in contrast to the flashy jewelry and designer outfits worn by others in the priority boarding area. The first-class section of Skyline Airlines sparkled with its spacious leather seats, uniformly smart crew, and the inviting aroma of freshly poured champagne. Liam had insisted that she take this flight alone as a reward for the successful charity event she organized, saying, "You deserve nothing but the best." Liam had told her to enjoy every bit of luxury just before he was called away to an urgent meeting, promising to meet her later at the resort. Taking a deep breath, Ava handed her first-class ticket to the gate attendant, ready to indulge in a luxury she rarely allowed herself, even though she was married to one of the wealthiest men around. "I'm sorry, but this area is only for first-class passengers," said Madison Clark, the head flight attendant, her eyes coldly appraising Ava's simple outfit. Her tone, dripping with condescension, cut sharply through the air. Madison, tall and impeccably groomed, kept her blonde hair in a tight bun, and her crisp navy uniform, adorned with gold stripes, looked more like a display of superiority than a sign of service. "I do have a first-class ticket," Ava replied calmly as she presented her boarding pass. Madison took it delicately, as if afraid of contamination, her perfectly manicured nails sparkling under the cabin lights. "There appears to be some error," Madison remarked, raising her eyebrows as if to suggest that Ava's details might have been entered incorrectly. She theatrically examined the ticket from every angle, her lips pursed in exaggerated doubt. A man in a sharp suit glanced up from his financial newspaper, his gold cufflinks catching the light as he lowered his glasses, remarking, "This happens all the time. Economy class is just too crowded." Several first-class passengers looked up, some with discreet smirks, while others exchanged curious glances. A couple dressed in matching designer outfits whispered to each other, their eyes flicking between Ava and her understated attire. Madison forced a smile of false sympathy. "Let me check if there's an available seat at the back of the plane. I'm sure you'll be much more comfortable there," she said, the word comfortable clearly implying that Ava did not belong here. Feeling her cheeks warm, Ava insisted, "Please check again. My husband specifically purchased this seat for me," while maintaining the poise honed through years of professional training. Being a former flight attendant herself, Ava understood the inner workings of the job. A woman sporting a diamond necklace as small as a grape laughed softly, her tone laced with condescension. "Oh dear. Everyone says that when they're hoping for an upgrade. Next you'll say he's a CEO or something equally clever." Quiet. Knowing laughter spread through the cabin as Madison signaled to another crew member. Ava glanced at the watch Liam had given her on the day they met, back when she still worked as a flight attendant. The cool metal against her skin brought back memories of a simpler time, lending her strength. She had faced prejudice before, but never from colleagues in a profession she once loved. Nearby, a businessman tapped impatiently on his armrest and muttered, "Some of us have meetings to get to. Can we sort this out and take off?" Madison straightened her flawless posture and said, "Please wait here while I clear up." This misunderstanding, her smile feeling forced and artificial, never reaching her eyes. "Maybe it's better if you wait at the boarding gate while we resolve this," she added, her tone making it obvious that this was no suggestion. Ava felt a mix of embarrassment, indignation, and anger. She could easily have mentioned that. She was the wife of Liam Johnson, the main shareholder of Skyline Airlines, a fact that could have changed everything with just one word. But something inside her resisted. Why should she need her husband's name to be treated with respect? Just then, the cabin manager approached, his expression serious beneath his perfectly styled hat. "Ma'am, it looks like there is an issue with your reservation. I need you to come with me off the aircraft while we sort this out." His tone was firm yet professional, leaving no room for argument. The disapproving glances and pitying looks from other passengers made her struggle to keep her dignity. A woman in her 60s, decked out in what appeared to be a full set of sapphires, clicked her tongue in disapproval, while a young executive busy on his laptop barely concealed a smirk. Still, Ava stood her ground. Speaking quietly but firmly, Ava declared, "My ticket is valid. I have every right to be here." Madison's smile grew even tighter. "Ma'am, we can't just allow anyone into first class without proper verification. Just anyone," she said, the implication hanging in the air. At that moment, the aircraft door swung open with deliberate precision, revealing the striking figure of Liam Johnson. Standing tall with broad shoulders, he exuded an effortless authority. His impeccably tailored navy suit contrasted with his relaxed yet confident posture. Silver strands at his temples added a touch of distinction to his otherwise dark hair, cut in a modern executive style that spoke of power without the need to flaunt it. The cabin instantly fell silent as Liam's sharp, steel-blue eyes scanned the room methodically, finally locking onto Ava, who was being confronted by the staff. Although his face remained composed, those who knew him could see the slight tightening around his eyes, a subtle signal of the controlled anger building within. Despite his calm demeanor, Liam's deep, measured voice filled the cabin as he asked, "Is there a problem?" Madison and the manager exchanged worried glances, their earlier confidence fading into uncertainty. "Sir, we're just trying to clear up a minor seating mix-up," the manager explained, his tone suddenly turning conciliatory as he attempted to address the unexpected situation. Liam strolled down the aisle with a relaxed assurance, as if he owned not just the plane, but the very air inside it. Every measured step brought him closer to the dispute, and passengers instinctively stepped back. "But that is my wife's seat, right?" he inquired. His accent carried a soft hint of his background, lending a melodic quality to his authoritative tone. "Your wife," Madison repeated, her face draining of color as if water were streaming from a broken vessel. A hushed murmur swept through the cabin. Liam moved beside Ava, gently placing one hand on the small of her back, a gesture both protective and assertive. His expensive watch caught the light subtly on his wrist, understated yet clearly valuable. "Yes, Ava Turner, my wife. Is there an issue with her seating?" he asked politely, though his question carried the weight of someone used to getting answers, the manager's calm facade visibly cracked. "Mr. Johnson, we weren't aware. We were merely following protocol to verify." "Verify what exactly?" Liam pressed, his piercing gaze moving deliberately from the manager to Madison, making it clear that decisions about who belonged in first class based solely on appearance were entirely unacceptable. The cabin fell into a deep, heavy silence, as if even breathing had stopped, while everyone slowly realized who he was and the magnitude of their mistake. "Mr. Johnson, we were not aware," stuttered Madison, her face turning completely pale. All her earlier arrogance evaporated like morning dew under a scorching sun. The badge on her uniform trembled as she fumbled with her gold pins, each nervous movement catching the light, while sweat began to form along her hairline, threatening her carefully applied makeup. Liam's presence seemed to fill the entire cabin, exuding a palpable energy even though he had not raised his voice or made any aggressive gestures. The balance of power shifted dramatically. He carried himself with the quiet confidence of a self-made man, built not on inherited wealth or luck, but on smarts and relentless determination. "Clearly," he said, the single word hanging in the air like a final verdict. His keen blue eyes, once described in a business magazine as capable of seeing right through corporate facades, took in every detail. The slight droop of Ava's shoulders despite her efforts to remain poised, the wide-eyed stares of passengers, some of whom were frantically tapping on their phones upon recognizing him, and the flight crew's rapid transformation from commanding authority to trembling submission. Every word he spoke carried an undeniable weight. "Did you know that before we were married, Ava was the youngest head flight attendant in the history of Skyline Airlines?" Liam said, his hand still resting protectively on Ava's back. "She knows more about service and protocol than everyone in this cabin combined." An audible sigh rippled through the seats. The woman who had earlier mocked Ava, now sporting a diamond necklace, was absorbed in reading the in-flight magazine, nervously twisting her gold wedding band. Meanwhile, the businessman who had complained about delays suddenly became fixated on his shoes. She once prevented an in-flight emergency by noticing a passenger's symptoms before the person even realized something was wrong, Liam added, a hint of pride warming his steady voice. The airline even awarded her a commendation that's still on display at headquarters, though I wonder if anyone here has actually seen it. Madison's face turned ashen, and the manager nervously tugged at his collar, a bead of sweat trickling down his temple. Liam continued in his unwavering tone, "I requested that the flight wait for me because I wanted to surprise my wife. It appears I arrived at just the right moment." The pause before "right moment" spoke volumes, a masterful display of subtle threat. He then turned to the manager, who was clutching his hat as if it were a shield, and stated, "As the main shareholder of Skyline Airlines, I am deeply troubled by what I have just witnessed today." The words "main shareholder" landed like a silent bomb in the cabin, causing a nearby passenger by the window to gasp audibly. Madison had to lean against the back of a seat just to keep herself upright, her knuckles turning white as she gripped the leather. The manager began, his voice cracking slightly. "Mr. Johnson, I assure you, this was just an isolated misunderstanding." Liam raised his hand, a simple gesture that instantly silenced the man. "Misunderstandings have consequences, don't they?" he said in a calm, conversational tone that made his implied threat even more potent. He then pulled out his phone and quickly typed a message. "I have just sent an email to the board. Starting tomorrow, every employee at Skyline Airlines will take part in a new anti-discrimination training program." He fixed his unwavering gaze on Madison. "Miss Clark, you will have the first session." Madison swallowed hard, unable to form a reply as her entire career flashed before her eyes. The silver wings badge on her uniform, once a symbol of pride, now felt unbearably heavy. Liam continued, turning to the manager. "I believe my wife, with her past experience at the company and her recent experience as a customer, is perfectly qualified to take over if she wishes." Ava's eyes widened. This was the first time she had heard of such a position. A brief moment of surprise crossed her face before she regained her composure. Liam then addressed the passengers in a clear, measured voice. "Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the delay. As compensation, complimentary champagne will be served throughout the flight. And for Miss Clark," he added softly yet firmly so that those nearby could hear, "please ensure my wife receives the proper attention during the flight. Your future with the company depends on it." Madison nodded silently, her air of arrogance completely shattered. In just a few minutes, she had been transformed from an imperious authority figure into a humbled servant, stepping back and signaling to the other flight attendants to begin service immediately. None of the passengers missed the irony or the lesson, and even the businessmen who had been dismissive now watched with newfound respect. After the confrontation, A fresh air of respect emerged, not only for Liam's authority, but also for Ava's dignity throughout the ordeal. Later, at a luxurious beachfront resort, Ava and Liam enjoyed a glass of wine on the private balcony of their suite, the sunset painting the ocean in golden hues. Despite the tense silence that had followed the incident, with Madison avoiding eye contact while serving Ava in an almost painful deference, Ava remarked with a gentle smile, "You always know how to make an entrance." Liam chuckled softly and admitted, "This wasn't exactly how I planned our reunion, but I must say it was satisfying to see their reactions." As Ava gazed out at the ocean for a moment, she said, "For years, I've avoided using your name or title. I wanted to be valued for my own skills, not merely as Mrs. Johnson." Liam nodded in agreement, adding, "The charity event you organized raised more money for disadvantaged children than any other in our foundation's history." Still, Ava hesitated to touch the watch he had given her years ago, murmuring, "Sometimes I miss being independent." Studying her face for a moment, Liam said, "That is exactly why I created the role of Director of Customer Experience. It isn't a favor, it's because no one is more qualified." Surprised, Ava looked at him and asked, "You planned this even before what happened on the plane?" Liam smiled. "Yes, it was meant to be your anniversary gift. You have the experience and vision, and after today, you know exactly what needs to change." Overwhelmed with emotion, Ava felt tears welling up and whispered, "You never stopped believing in me, even when I doubted myself." Gently, Liam touched the watch on her wrist and reminded her, "Remember what I said when I gave you this? Time is the only luxury that truly matters. How we choose to spend it and with whom." Ava nodded, recalling the young businessman she had met years ago when she served coffee in first class, remarking that the lesson in dignity and excellence she learned in just a 3-hour flight outweighed years of business meetings. Liam continued, "I did not fall in love with Mrs. Johnson, the billionaire's wife. I fell in love with Ava Turner, the woman who treats every passenger, from CEOs to lone travelers, with unwavering respect." Ava squeezed his hand as the sunset glimmered on the watch that not only marked the passing hours, but also symbolized the journey they shared. Then Liam softly asked, "So what do you think about stepping into the role of Director of Customer Experience and transforming Skyline Airlines?" Ava smiled, feeling lighter than she had in years, and replied, "I think it's time for a fresh start." "So what did you make of this unexpected twist? Did the moment when I revealed myself as the owner surprise you as much as it did that haughty crew?" Liam inquired. "It's unfortunate that so many people judge others based on their looks, clothes, or background without knowing their true story and worth. Have you ever experienced or witnessed something similar?" he added. "Share your thoughts and pass this message along to someone who might need to hear it, that true value goes far beyond what meets the eye. Until our next story, remember to treat everyone with dignity and respect."